Hi, welcome to the Diablo podcast. We are online at diablopodcast.com. I am the host, Flux, and I have a very deep voice this time because even though I didn't go to BlizzCon, I got the BlizzCon flu. It saved me on airfare, at least. Our guests this show are Wolfpack.
Hello.
And the Eliminator.
Hey, guys.
Both of whom did go to BlizzCon.
Yes.
Are either of you plague-ridden and near death?
No.
Nope, I'm healthy.
So apparently the trick was to go this year. Usually when you go, you get horrible diseases. And I stayed home.
Lots of hand sanitizer.
Yeah, it was all over the place. Little dispensers. I'm surprised, though, that I didn't get some sort of ear infection from sharing headphones with thousands of people.
Yeah.
Well, your average BlizzCon attendee is very clean and neat, so that's not a problem.
Of course.
I had the pay-per-view, so I actually watched all the panels and live blogged them and stuff. It was kind of weird. I'd never seen the panels before. I mean, I'd see them on YouTube like a week afterwards, but
Right.
It was almost exciting. It's like, ooh, new information, sweet.
I saw the opening ceremony, and then immediately after I went to the Blizzard Sound panel, which was basically just all about Diablo 3.
I was kind of bored by that, but I really enjoyed the live guitar concert in the middle of it.
Yeah.
That was unexpected.
I saw a little bit of the making of the Black Soulstone.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was the one where I got to speak with Leonard in the back.
Yeah, save your developer stories. We'll get to those in a second.
Okay.
So you'd been to several Wolfpack. You had been to BlizzCon in the past.
No, this was my first one.
You hadn't. You live right nearby, though.
I know. This is the first time I decided I'm going for it.
I'm always confused amongst our podcast guests. I think everybody else had gone except for Diablo's minion.
I don't think Exile went either.
Exile was at the last two. He didn't go this year because somebody was getting married this year.
Oh.
That's why he couldn't go. So one of his best friends. He was a best man or something. How about you, Eliminator?
This was my first time.
So you were both BlizzCon virgins.
Yep.
Joining all the real life virgins. Never mind. So how was it to your expectations?
I had a really, really good time. I didn't sit at a lot of the panels just because there was so much to play. Like there was the Blizzard Dota, which I actually didn't get a chance to play because the line was so massive, and I don't know how well they were doing the playtime restrictions, but I did get a chance to play with the new Heart of the Swarm units, and that was kind of fun. And then, of course, I spent a lot of time playing the Diablo 3 deathmatch because it's insanely fun. And I had a buddy there who I'd done PvP with in the past in other games, and so we were just having a blast, tearing it up. And then I got a chance to play the new WoW expansion, which confirmed my decision to quit and not to come back. But yeah, it was a really fun time. And the little things that I wouldn't even have thought would be fun, like the costume contest and the videos and the art and the song contests towards the end of day one, that was just really fun to sit there and watch all the crazy people in their costumes. And I can't remember the comedian's name, but he was making some pretty funny jokes. And
Jay Moore.
Jay Moore, yeah, that guy's hilarious.
You didn't go with his nickname Jay Less. You actually liked his material.
I did. I thought he was cracking me up. But I mean, everyone was cracking. I mean, and then of course I've been a huge fan of the Foo Fighters for years, and getting to see them in concert was amazing. It was a perfect ending to a great 2 days.
It's funny with the concert because they announce the guest long after the tickets have been sold out, so you have no idea who you're going to see when you buy your ticket.
Right.
And you could have gotten, you could have gotten some horrible band you don't care about from 100 years ago, the last 3 years. But instead you got someone you actually still liked.
Yeah. As someone who's been around for way more than a decade and is still just rocking amazingly, I have to say, as much as I loved the whole BlizzCon experience, the Foo Fighters concert was the highlight for me.
And so how was your first BlizzCon, Eliminator?
I had a blast myself. Played a lot. I played everything. Everything on the show floor, I played it. I didn't go as much as to the panels, mostly because I just felt, I could just watch them when I get back to my house and watch them online. I played a ton of multiplayer, that's for sure, because hands down, I think Diablo 3 multiplayer was the biggest line at the convention for a game. I mean, Dota was pretty long. It didn't go as long as Diablo 3 multiplayer at times.
When you say multiplayer, is that the beta?
The PvE?
The PvE line was actually really long too.
It
it at times was longer than the PvP.
Since I had gotten a chance to play beta, I didn't wait in line for beta ever, but the line always looked longer to me than the team deathmatch one. Like it was always looping around and going around, like doing all of the zigzags and then looping around practically the entire display. While as at least on day one, the team deathmatch, I was able to hop right into the zigzags and start playing. That's what it seemed to me. I was a little bit surprised actually that the beta line was longer than the level 60 PvP because, I mean, we've all seen streams of the beta for weeks now. It's
Yeah, I wondered how that would go because last year was when they first had the arena, and that line was always much shorter than the regular. I waited mostly in the regulation one because I wanted to test all the the Demon Hunter was brand new at that point, and I wanted to test all the other characters and not just do the PvP arena stuff. But it seems like, yeah, I mean, as you're saying, a lot of people want, word of mouth, and people are waiting more for the regular PvE, which was, basically the beta, but it's the updated version of the beta. It's got all kinds of patches and stuff.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, I haven't touched to write much about that yet, but I mean, the Demon Hunter, for instance, all the changes are in, all the fury generating skills and I mean, hatred generators and stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
I got to play one go with the Demon Hunter in PvE.
Had you played her in the beta previously?
No.
So you have no basis for comparison, alas.
Besides just watching.
Bless me.
Yes.
It'll
Besides
be
watching.
painful coughing every now and then. I must apologize to our listeners.
That's fine.
Besides
Well, not
watching,
you, the listeners.
I'm,
You don't
I'm okay
count.
with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. You can finish that sentence now. Let me hear.
Okay. I was just.
Wait a minute. What were you saying?
And now.
Besides watching.
Besides watching the Demon Hunter, that's all the experience I had with it. But I got a good feeling of how the Demon Hunter played just from the massive amount of people playing it on live streams from the beta. I think it still has work to be done. There were certain times where I was playing the bolo shot when you only have one hatred generator and one hatred spender. Having the bolo shot as your hatred generator just didn't work out because the small corridors are just tight grouped guys. You accidentally would hit the wrong. You would actually accidentally hit the guy same guy twice and do squat with that hatred generating attack. You'd end up wasting your time. So I'd thought that maybe they could do something with like maybe stacking it or making it a hatred spender instead would probably be good. But
Yeah, of course you were like level 3 also, so.
yeah, I think that was the major problem. It was so early that I only had 2 skills, and why would I want to use one skill that I couldn't really use constantly spamming it, to build hatred.
Well, you could spam it. It just wouldn't do much good because this explosion would be wasted, I guess.
Yeah. But still, like, they could move that around a bit and fix that up, or change the skill slightly how it works, or change it to a generator or a spender instead, I should say.
Did you play any of the arena?
Yes, I played a ton of that. I actually wrote down a whole bunch of notes.
So what did you think? We'll get back to Wolfpack on this one after you do your brief thing on it.
I thought it was a lot more enjoyable than originally I thought it was going to be. Like, I had saw videos of it from last year, and was like, oh, okay, maybe it might be interesting to play. But it was really addictive being team deathmatch style, because you die, 2 seconds later, you're back into it. You're not waiting around. You're always in the fight. Sometimes you're frustrated that you're back in the fight because, in fact, they put you right in a spot where you wish you weren't.
That's right. Sometimes you're right back into it.
Yeah.
Right where you
So
just
there's
died.
no safe zone for respawn. You're just right in the octagon, basically.
Yeah, they might want to tweak that a bit and maybe try to spawn you only in areas where there aren't any guys or enemies and stuff like that.
So taking a brief step back, for fans who don't know anything about the current arena, can one of you guys kind of run down the basic features? It was 4 versus 4, level 60 characters. They had about, like 9,000 hit points?
Actually, you could play 2v2, 3v3, and 4v4.
Okay.
They all had, they were all 60th level, I do believe, and they had a massive amount of hit points. I didn't really keep track of all of them.
You didn't write down every hit point and resource value in the entire game?
Well,
No, I didn't actually. I was pretty
So-
poor reporting on that part.
the lowest. I don't know if I did hit a key or something. I had the hit points, like the numbers activated on top of the class, and the lowest HP I saw was the witch doctor with 8,900, and the highest I saw was a barbarian with like 10.5k.
And how was their equipment? Did you guys take a look at that?
It was gibberish. Like two legendary rings with plus 300 to all stats, and then like blank, like plain, like no benefits, like white items. And then the barbarian had a frost axe for snaring. And yeah, I mean they were clearly like temporary items.
I think the monk also had frost items too, didn't he?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
But I mean the snare from frost was not very noticeable from frost weapons.
Yeah.
It was noticeable, but barely. It wasn't even as much, I think, as the wizard had temporal flux as a passive, and that was, in my opinion, more noticeable than the frost on items.
And they had a variety of skills. You could not change them. It was pre-made, yes?
Yeah, it was locked.
And they had runestones in them as well, so there was some variety to their attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in theory, Blizzard designs this in advance, so all the characters have, some attack, some defense, some escape kind of thing. So if you know what you're doing, you can kind of do everything.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Did you guys pick up stuff as you were going and realize, oh, I'm screwing up my hotkeys and I should have done X and Y?
Yeah, I saw.
Definitely.
I found myself hitting stuff when I shouldn't have been hitting them.
Yeah, when I was about to die, I would just hit all of the keys in frustration, sometimes resulting in like a last minute change into Archon form, which is really bad.
Yeah.
Like a little kid on a Street Fighter arcade game or something.
I learned to stop doing that.
Yeah, I also learned that since I had never played the game before, I learned real quick that you can't have your fingers anywhere near the mouse buttons when you're trying to do like the dash attack. Otherwise, you'd cancel yourself out.
So you had never played Diablo 3 at all previously?
Yeah.
Did you play the PvE before the arena?
Yes, the first thing I did was when I got to the convention, I moved my way immediately to the PvE demo. Played.
So you got a little taste of a level 1 character?
Yeah, I played the Barbarian. I don't know why I picked the Barbarian. I just gravitated to him.
It's a good choice.
I made it to like the first level of the cathedral. That was it.
How long was the play session? Was it 15 or 20 minutes? Do you remember?
15.
You've seen those speedrun videos.
Yeah.
So in theory, you could have made it damn near to the Skeleton King in 15 minutes, but it'd be tough on your first playthrough ever, I guess.
I think it'd be impossible for your first playthrough because you don't have the gear set up that they probably passed down to their.
They were doing Untwinked.
Oh really?
But it's still, I think the shortest I've seen is 24 minutes. So that's still
Well, I mean, these people
they've
weren't
done 100
playing the game
runs
for their
already.
very first time. They were playing their 100th run through, so they had
until they get a
where-
really good spawn and they can find the exits quickly in the cathedral, etc. So
Yeah.
But how did you feel about the PvE demo there, Eliminator? I mean, it was your first taste of. You've seen a million videos and stuff.
I really liked it. I mean, the things that really attracted me to it was the small details outside, because I've seen a lot of the live streams of the beta, but it doesn't really compare to actually sitting there and playing it. And like the small details that you really pick up on, like the grass moving when you're around there, just the sounds, how perfectly they align with a lot of things. You just really feel like you're in the environment. It sets a tone very well too. Play wise, it was pretty solid. I mean, I even got to go to see. I tried to see what kind of glitches, if they were still in there, like the bookshelf glitch by the stairs, and it didn't seem to drop anything on the top level. It was dropping things on the floor.
They did say that they were going to have a big patch coming up for the beta test, so hopefully this version will be in the beta and we can get more people testing it and talking about the Demon Hunter changes and such. So, any other PvP demo comments from either of you guys?
I have a ton of comments. If you want me to
me
just
too.
shotgun them or like
Just
take turns.
fire them in there.
Well, I tried every class, and
As did I.
I guess I'm going to go from my opinion, the ones that are the weakest to the strongest. I thought the Demon Hunter was by far the weakest, just because she seemed, I mean, she was really good at escaping damage. She had the smokescreen skill ruined to be 4 seconds of stealth, and that was really useful. And then she had vault, but I didn't see how it was ruined. And then she had rapid fire and evasive fire for her attacks, but her attacks just didn't do a lot of damage. Like rapid fire was shooting 100 arrows a second or whatever, or not 100, but it's just shooting really, really fast. But the amount of damage it did was really low. Yeah, I didn't like the Demon Hunter. I only tried it once, and then after that, I have to say the Wizard, because the Wizard attacks they had set up were Arcane Torrent and Magic Missile, and that was it as far as just straight attacks. Arcane Torrent is a really fun skill to use, but it's so easy to just run out of range of it because it's channeled, right? And it takes, it's not a long time, but it's at least like 2 or 3 seconds from when you start channeling it to when it gets to the spot you're aiming at, which is very unfortunate for PvP because no one's ever staying still for that long. And then when you hit them, but when you did land Arcane Torrent and then Magic Missile them as they ran away because of the disruption, Runestone and Magic Missile hurt a lot. I was getting, like, when I hit a disrupted, and so disruption, for those of you who don't know, Arcane Torrent, Crimson Rune, all arcane damage is increased by 120% for 5 seconds when you hit them with Arcane Torrent. So I was getting hits for like 2k and crits for over 3k when I did have them disrupted, but disruption only lasts a couple seconds too. So Wizard was not as strong as I would have liked. Frost Nova freezes, which is awesome. Wormhole Teleport is not as it is worded. It is literally you have a 2-second window to cast Teleport, which is kind of
as many as you want.
Yeah, as many as you want in that 2 seconds. So
didn't we spend like 15 minutes debating that on a recent podcast?
I think we might have, but
then we all came to the conclusion that it meant infinite teleports for 2 seconds or something.
Well,
anyway.
except for me, I was the one who was saying that it was probably only going to give you a 2-minute window.
Second window.
2 minute. Yeah, imagine
and
2 minutes.
Apparently, you were correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could get all the way across the arena map in 2 seconds, so it was fine. But then the cooldown started.
One brief note for people who haven't seen the tile set was very wide open. There weren't a lot of obstacles. There weren't any moats or anything in the middle, right?
They had walls.
There were walls,
and you had problems sometimes getting around them.
But just in terms of Wolfpack's character descriptions here, it was so open. There was no problem with a barbarian like getting right up to you, or a monk. It wasn't like they had to run around some big hole in the floor or something.
There was no hole, but there were obstacles. Like in the center was a huge health globe, which gave you like 6k health back if you picked it up. So it was like basically almost a full heal, or at least more than half heal. And there were 2 huge like line of sight blocking, or no, 4 like set up in the shape of a plus, except in the middle of the map, line of sight blocking walls. And then in the corners of the map were walls that didn't block line of sight, but they did block movement. So they were like tiny walls in the shape of an L, basically, which you could put between you and a barbarian. And if he tried to, say, Ancient Spear you, it wouldn't pull you all the way to him because it blocked the movement. And he couldn't run straight to you, and that really helped actually getting away from monks because they can't dashing strike over any walls, even the short ones that don't block line of sight. So that was one of the tricks that I picked up, was just keeping one of those walls between me and the monk, and then laughing at him when he tried to dashing strike to me and he just got stuck on the little L-shaped wall while I was barraging him with attacks.
Yeah, I was going to say that I wondered if the relative strength of the classes had to do with the terrain. If people could use the terrain better, the Demon Hunter would have been more useful in a level that wasn't so open. But apparently it wasn't that bad. It wasn't completely, wide and straight and flat in all directions.
No, there were definitely. I use the line of sight walls all the time to escape a wizard who was, say, arcane barraging me, or who had transformed into Archon form, which was really awesome. Archon form, it does so much damage. Every time a wizard went into Archon form, you either needed to kill him immediately or run away as fast as you could because you were going to die. It was.
I actually had a battle where I faced an entire team of wizards.
Oh.
and the initial combat, they all Archoned on the initial grouping combat, and they like melted us in like a second.
That's ridiculous, dude.
It was pretty sad.
So can one of you guys describe what Archon does for our listeners?
Archon transforms you into a more powerful form of a wizard, and you get 3 spells to pick from. You get a short-ranged, like, disintegrate spell that its damage is increased by a lot, and a forced wave spell, and there was another one too. I can't remember the last one.
Well, there was
Disintegrate, wasn't it?
Disintegrate, yeah, but there was also the Nova, and then the immediate short-range Arcane Explosion.
Yeah,
on your left click.
Yeah.
So when you go into Archon form, you do not have access to your normal skills. You have new skills that come in.
Yes.
Just while you're Archon.
And also...
And you lost teleport for one thing, so your escapability went down a great deal.
You lost Frost Nova, you lost Diamond Skin too.
Skin, yeah. And also, if you had Diamond Skin active and you went Archon, it would kill the Diamond Skin, no matter how much time was left. To add my points about the 2 classes that Wolf has already talked about, the Demon Hunter, yeah, I agree with. She was one of the masters of escape. She would just be able to vault anywhere out of the way and just disappear completely and get out of there pretty easily. Damage-wise, I agree with him. It seemed a little low, but I'm not really sure what the runestone effect on Caltrop was. I didn't see that. Whether it was the one that just kind of slowed you more, or if it was the one that increased the damage on people when they were in it.
I did notice that Shadow Power gave you 45% life leech.
Yeah.
And so I tried to use that as much as possible. But then I had no discipline left for when I needed to escape, so that didn't work out so well either.
Yeah.
Did you note her attack skills?
Yeah, it was rapid fire and the one that if they get too close, you vault backwards.
Evasive fire.
Evasive shot.
Evasive, yeah.
I like how every skill of hers is either shot, arrow, or bolt, and there's no logic to any of them.
Yeah,
right.
So it could be bolo shot, bolo arrow, bolo blast, evasive arrow, evasive something, entangling shot, entangling arrow. Nobody ever knows.
On the wizard side, I found the wizard incredibly fun. Like I would hit the arcane barrage, and then immediately after I hit Arcane Barrage, I was firing a magic missile at them, and I would find people like that tried to stand toe to toe with me, like another wizard. I would melt them because they didn't know that.
Yeah, no, disruption. Magic missile was pretty fantastic in terms.
And
of
also, if you really timed it well, you could teleport into the group, hit Frost Nova, teleport again, turn around, and start like missile barraging, arcane barraging, and magic missiling like each one target, and you'd be doing like a crap load of damage because of the fact that Frost Nova was ruined with Crimson, so anyone who was frozen took an extra 80% more damage.
But that's rank 4 on the calculator.
It's right,
rank 7 on the build.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it was like 110 then. Yeah, you're right.
Next character. Who was the next least weak?
Well, for fact, not for me. I thought the wizard was like one of the best for me.
Then I'd have to say, well, it's tough because I mean, Barbarian and Monk both were. The Monk didn't do a whole lot of damage, but he was like he could get all around the map, and he was very hard to kill because they took the Inner Sanctuary, I think is what it's called, the skill that makes you invulnerable for all damage for
Serenity?
4 seconds. Or Serenity?
Yeah.
One of those. I mean, it also, I guess it was ruined such that it healed him to full whenever he used it. So
yeah,
it was
with the Crimson Rune.
Yeah, it was just the ultimate, like, you're not going to kill me right now. And his combos did do a fair amount of damage, and Dashing Strike made it so you couldn't get away. And then every time that 7-sided strike was up, it was almost a guaranteed kill because it did a lot of damage, especially if there's only one target on the screen for him to be hitting. And I can't remember quite how that was ruined, but I think it was for more than 7 strikes. Is that right?
I didn't get to see it, but I think you're right that it was more than 7 strikes because he hit a whole lot of times.
A whole lot of times, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the double, like the 14. But yeah, and so and also, I mean, it was so helpful as a ranged class to have melee people just going in there and taking damage because that just totally, it's a great balance. I found that balanced teams did much better than teams that were, say, all wizards or all melee. Like, I faced teams that were all barbarians, which, I mean, a couple times, yeah, you did get stunned and destroyed instantly, but I thought that the encouragement of having a balanced team was very well done. So yeah, I think the Barb and the Monk both served that purpose of getting up in your face, but they did it in different ways. The Barbarian, his escape skill was ignore pain. Escape skill, I guess it's a tanking skill. He was very hard to kill when ignore pain was up. It was almost not worth attacking him. It meant switch targets, but if he's right up in your face, then you need to get away from him and switch targets. So yeah, I thought Barb and Monk were both very strong at what they did. The Barbarian, the highest damage strike I did in the entire event was when I had used Wrath of the Berserker and I was hammering of the Ancients. Like, I took away 2/3 of a person's life in one hit it was like a 6K crit. And it's ridiculous. It was so much fun. And the Ancient Spear with the split chains made it much easier, like you thought, Flux, to get people back in your range. You couldn't just walk away. Like, you could walk out of line of sight, or you could walk around one of those mini walls, and that would keep you safe. But if you didn't have something like that, then you were getting pulled. And if you were standing next to your ally, you were both getting pulled and then hammered. It was just bad news.
I think
so Arcane Spear had a rune effect that shot out like 7 spears in kind of a fan shape, right?
Yeah, it was the Indigo rune for was it grappling hook? It's called.
And it could gather in multiple targets.
Yeah. It wasn't as overpowerful as I thought it would be, though, because demon hunters can vault right through it and not get caught by it, and witch doctors could spirit walk, like the instant like it went to go hit them and get out of it. Monks could try to like dash a short distance away or dash to another target and get away from the barb. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was like ridiculously good.
Yeah, that all it is another gap closer, and since it doesn't have a stun attached or a snare, it's just people would get pulled and then they just start to walk away. Yeah. Even with the frost weapon doing a minimal snare.
I think with the Monk, I felt that he didn't have the ability to escape as much as I'd want him to. With the dashing strike, you'd only be able to dash to a target. You couldn't dash to an ally, so you couldn't dash in, attack somebody, hit like 7-sided strike, and then dash out to get out of the way.
Well, you could dash to nowhere. You can do that.
You wouldn't go very far. Yeah, you wouldn't go very far. And most of the times, if you were anywhere near 2 other enemies, and either one of them had a slowing, a snare, you'd be caught and killed.
Yeah.
And something I noted, 7-sided strike is no longer a teleport. It only works on something very close to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an AoE, basically.
That sounds right. I did see a couple monks activate it right as I was, I guess, outside of the range, and they attacked nothing. They sort of just dashed around inside of a circle. Yeah. And then were sad because they didn't hit me.
I also thought it did more damage when there was more people around. Like, I saw one monk run into a group and use it, and it seemed like it had more effect than just using it on one person. Maybe that was just my experience with it, because maybe the person I went to go use it on all the time happened to have some sort of damage reduction, diamond skin, or ignore pain going on, or maybe it does do more damage to a larger group.
Or maybe he activated the mantra right before he used it.
True.
That did give a pretty severe damage boost for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, the double effect for 3 seconds after you cast a mantra.
Yeah.
For the Barb, I thought he did, like Wolf was saying, a tremendous amount of damage when he would get a crit with the Hammer of the Ancients and he was in Wrath of the Berserker form. I mean, you would just see people wilt underneath
Yeah.
like two hits.
Yeah, it's like they see a barbarian at low life, they're like, oh, we'll charge him. There were so many times I was able to get people baited, like sorcerer or wizards, like wasting their teleport to catch up to me, and then just turning on them and like true shotting them with Hammer of the Ancients. That
Yeah.
was really fun.
For runes, leap attack had the alabaster because it stunned people when you jumped and leap attacked on them. As we said, ancient spear had indigo because it was grappling hook. Wrath of the Berserker, I'm pretty sure had golden because I saw people just walking around constantly with it, and as long as they were attacking people, they were still in the Wrath of the Berserker form. Hammer of the Ancients, I think it was crimson because I didn't see any of the other effects. Ignore pain, I'm pretty sure it was indigo because it seemed to last a lot longer than 5 seconds.
Yeah, it did seem to last a while. I agree with that one.
Frenzy, I have no idea what was on Frenzy, and honestly, I don't even think Frenzy was that good in the PvP because you just didn't have enough time a lot of times to build up all 5 of the Frenzy attacks, especially with a slow two-hander.
Yeah, if you're going to do Frenzy in PvP, you're going to want to be attacking fast for sure. I almost never used Frenzy as well, just because I think that I think Wrath of Berserker, because naturally Wrath of Berserker doesn't increase damage, right? It's just everything else.
Oh, it's dodge, it's
attack speed, crit chance.
Crit chance. So dodge, movement speed, attack speed, crit chance.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was golden because I noticed my damage going up with Hammer of the Ancients when I was in that stance, the Wrath of the Berserker stance. I was in Wrath of Berserker when I got my 6k crit. Wrath of Berserker might have increased damage done.
Yeah, because it does. Because with it being critical hit, you do 10% more critical hit damage, I'd imagine.
So neither of you have mentioned the Witch Doctor yet, which means at least one of you thinks he was the Uber.
Yeah, I'm saving the best for last with Witch Doctor. Because that was the one after I tried each one out a couple times, I was only playing Witch Doctor because it was that powerful.
The Witch Doctor, I feel, if you played him correctly, you could not kill him. He was unkillable with the Spirit Walk.
Yeah, it is by far the strongest escape skill.
Yeah, you would just disappear and then re-heal instantly.
He had Spirit Walk ruined to make him heal when he used it.
Yeah, Healing Journey, 10% of your max life every second, and it lasts 3 seconds?
Yeah, and that's all the time you need to basically heal yourself up to full.
It was crazy, and
he's got 10,000 hit points, so 30% of that.
It was
quite a bit.
Yeah, and Hex was. I thought Hex was great because
I loved it.
You got into a group and somebody was like Archon or Wrath of the Berserker, you could easily just hex them and take them out of the equation for 30 seconds. Not 30 seconds, like 4 seconds.
I think it's like 8 seconds in the beta at least.
Yeah.
Well, in PvP, the duration is greatly reduced. I think it was less than half.
It's like 4.
Maybe and Hex
3.
summons, for people who don't know, Hex summons a fetish, like from Diablo 2, who turns enemies into pigs. I believe it was in the beta. It was in this, right?
It was pigs. Yes, it was.
And it was not chickens. It was pigs.
No, it was pigs.
So they're covering most of the breakfast menu. Were they cute pigs?
They were. They were just pigs.
They weren't like Babe Pig in the City with his little sparkling muzzle.
No.
Did they squeal?
I don't even think I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it. I heard the death that followed shortly.
Only their master, their player squealed, but not the actual pig.
Yeah, they're like, oh, I'm a pig. And it was crazy because it was ruined alabaster, which is Jinx, which increased the damage they take by 90%, which is practically double. My favorite way to use Hex was when I could sort of control who was going to be hexed, because if you just dropped it in the middle of a group, it would pick one at random, and sometimes the one it picked was not one who was at low life. So I tried to just lure someone into following me, and then I would just hex them and spam Poison Dart, which was broken into 5 darts, which is the what was it? Indigo Splinters.
Indigo, yeah. It's the machine gun Poison Dart.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous damage too. And since it was poison, even if they ran away and they had low health, they were dead.
Yeah.
How fast could the little piggy run?
The piggy didn't run anywhere. He just kind of stood there. Yeah.
So you'd hex them, and then 3 casts of poison dart at the most, and they're dead.
Yeah, I was told that Hex seemed a little overpowered. Would you guys agree with that? For PvP at least?
Yeah, kind of a little bit, because when you were one-on-one and you saw it, you would try to run away from it most of the time. Because if you didn't run away from it, you were most likely going to be dead.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's overpowered just because you can't control it. One-on-one, it's absurd, but when teams were sticking together as a group, which most teams weren't, I did face like one group who were like all wearing the same T-shirt and they thought they were cool, and they were always together as a group, and Hex was very inefficient against them because all the Barb had to do was walk in front of whoever randomly got hexed, and he took all my poison darts with his ignore pain, or if it was a monk, he could just immune himself out of it. It does have its counters, and I wouldn't say for group PvP it's that overpowered. I just think that they did a much better job with the Witch Doctor of putting together a solid PvP kit than they did for the other classes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I didn't use Soul Harvest as much as I should have, because Soul Harvest was actually a good increase to your damage.
That's right.
I just didn't get to use it as much as I thought I should have.
Well, it was so hard to find. Like I said, everyone was so scattered. Like I could get one person harvested,
Yeah.
So what did Soul Harvest do in the PvP demo?
It did a mess of damage and then gave you a very big bonus to your attack.
It's like a Frost Nova area effect.
Yeah, point
around
blank
yourself.
AoE.
And everything you hit takes damage, and that damage gives you mana?
The attack stat. Every enemy hit gives you 100 plus attack for
Which
30
increases
seconds.
your damage with other things.
Yeah, it's a massive damage multiplier, basically.
And he also had, I believe, Spirit Barrage.
Using Spirit Barrage only when I was out of mana.
Yeah, pretty much. Was that the left click?
Yeah, that was the left click.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I hardly ever used it. It was a seeking missile, so it would always hit them, but he didn't have much in the way of fast cast, and it moved pretty slow, and it didn't do much damage. So that's one I hardly ever used.
Yeah, I really only used it when I had blown all my mana on Poison Dart.
And how about Grasp of the Dead?
That was very helpful. It was runed to be the increased snare duration, so it was very hard to run away from the Witch Doctor, because if they're running, you just drop a Grasp of the Dead right in front of them, and now they're taking damage and moving slower. So
yeah,
that was pretty cool. I noticed that because it was so hard to kill me when I was playing Witch Doctor, and because they one of the ones they chose for the passives was trying to find the name. It's the one that increases your damage by 20%, but increases the mana cost by 30%. So I was going out of mana all the time, even though I did have Spiritual Attunement as well. It would come back slowly, but that was one issue. Oh, Pierce the Veil. That's what it's called. All your damage increased by 20%, but the mana cost increased by 30%.
So a couple of things you guys mentioned. Teamwork. Most people were just thrown in with random groups, and it looked like it was pretty much a free-for-all in the videos I've seen. You did see some teamwork, and you said it benefited by having a mixed team.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, my buddy and I, we spent the first half of Friday just messing around with each class, but he ended up sticking to melee, and I ended up sticking to Witch Doctor for the ultimate just balance. Because, yeah, I think having a balanced team was huge. Because the monks and barbarians were very good at taking damage and getting away. In my experience, I had chased several monks who apparently had maxed spirit and could use dashing strike unlimited. So I spent a lot of time chasing them around the map. Barbarians were really, the 70% chance to stun on their leap attack was huge, and the damage they did when they got there was huge as well. So having a melee to stand in front of you while you dish out your stuff was huge, I thought.
Unfortunately for me, I seem to be on the receiving end of all the teamwork, because since I was really playing it mostly by myself, I only got to play 2 times with Nineball and his guildmates. The times that I played by myself. The other times, I should say, and I basically was on the receiving end of good teamwork.
Did you guys check out the there's kill streaks and there's achievements and stuff in the matches? Were those fun?
Yeah, the first I made it my goal to get first blood every match because
Which is the first kill?
yeah, first kill of the match. And it's just like the massacre, it pops right up on your screen, first blood, and then if you get, I think it was 3, 5, 7, and 10 were the most killing blows I got in a row without dying, and a little thing would pop up killing streak 3, killing streak 5, killing streak 7, killing streak 10.
And that was for your character or for your team?
For my character.
For your character, yeah.
So if my character died and I got 3 more kills, it was killing streak 3.
And that was ones you actually killed yourself or got the final hit on?
Yeah, final killing blow. I mean, they keep track of assists and kills, but kills are what give you the pop-up.
Yeah, and after the match you would see stats, right? It would
Yeah.
show all the characters?
You could see it
Yeah.
during the match, too, if you
Yeah.
press tab.
Was that a good idea to stop and look at?
No.
I did it when I was dead.
So what kind of stats were you seeing for total matches? Like you generally around 50 kills per team or so?
That sounds about right. By far the highest killing match, it was 77 to 65. I just remember that number because my friend and I were shocked that there'd been 130 plus deaths in the course of 10 minutes.
Yeah, and so you got a 5-minute practice and a 10-minute kill fest.
Yeah.
And it's amazing you think that there's 8 people in there and there's 130 combined deaths in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is 13 a minute. So
Yeah.
more than every 5 seconds someone dies.
It was nutty. I was really, I would use all of my mana, kill a bunch of people, and then I'd be dead. And it would happen over and over and over again.
And can you imagine hardcore dueling with single fall fatality?
Not at all.
Would you enjoy your 5 seconds of fun?
Not at all.
No,
No.
yeah, I don't think it would be at all fun.
No.
Because
Yeah,
you just
We
die so
debated this in
quickly.
the past. Can you see any way hardcore dueling could work with single fall? Would you ever do that? Or would anybody? Or
I can't imagine. The way it's set up is you die. There's no. I'm sure someone could come up with a survivability build, but in this arena, there was no surviving. You went in, you did your thing, and then you either ran around in circles looking for hellstones and hope no one on the enemy team spawned next to you, or you died.
can you imagine hardcore being the match?
Like the winner of the match?
Yeah, with the winning team, everybody lives. The losing team, everybody dies.
No, but I can't even imagine playing hardcore.
Yeah.
I could kind of see that more than the other, but I still wouldn't. I still wouldn't try it myself.
Definitely single fall just seems unworkable and insane.
Yeah.
So any other PvP stuff before we move on to other topic?
No, I think that's pretty much covered all of it.
Yeah, it was hugely fun. Even when I was Demon Hunter and not getting a ton of kills, I was still having fun. So I'm super excited and looking forward to this game coming out.
Yeah, for me, hands down, the PvP was the best thing on the show floor.
Oh yeah.
That was something a lot of people said last year. People weren't expecting it. It was a surprise, obviously. No one was expecting it. It was like the Spanish Inquisition. But then once you actually played it, everyone was like, this is awesome. I love this.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they stick to their guns and not make this into some sort of esport, because then they'd have to start harshly balancing things. And I kind of like how, every 45 seconds you can get a guaranteed kill. I'm okay with that because then I know I can kill him when it's down, or something like that.
The thinking some people had after last year was that they could make it an esport like what you played, where there's pre-made character builds instead of it being, it's impossible to balance it for everybody's single player, for your own character.
That's
because
true.
there's just too much variety. But if they gave you pre-made builds that had, it was kind of rock paper scissors kind of thing in theory.
Yeah, I'd be totally fine with that, as long as they aren't making things less fun for the sake of esport balancing, which is, it's one of the things that really made World of Warcraft less enjoyable for me was the class I played getting nerfed repeatedly just because Blizzard thought they did a little bit too much damage in Arena.
Yeah, just briefly on World of Warcraft, you guys obviously saw the announcement for the Mists of Kung Fu Panda.
That's right.
Ed, you didn't seem too excited there, Eliminator. I mean, Wolfpack. Did you check it out, Eliminator?
I did. I played the beginning zone. It's just like any other beginning zone in WoW.
That's right.
On previous podcasts, Nineball has said the demos suck at BlizzCon because the beginning zone quests are kind of boring. Collect 20 wolf pelts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty early in development, so I'm pretty sure that's probably why they just had the beginning zone, because that's really all they have to show.
Are you still an active WoW player, Eliminator?
No, I haven't played in, I don't know, about 4 months.
Is the Kung Fu Panda thing gonna suck you back in?
Probably not.
Yeah, it didn't seem to fall flat for both you guys.
But you get a free copy of Diablo if you buy a year.
Which is more expensive than just going out and buying the
No.
game.
Ignore that. You also get a in-game mount.
You get a Murloc, I think, too.
Oh, and don't you get? Oh no, I'm sorry. That's the collector's edition. I was
That's the
thinking of
collector's
those
edition.
shiny wings that you get in-game.
So neither of you guys are motivated to spend what's it, 12 times 15 for your World of Warcraft to get a free copy of Diablo 3?
No.
No.
Tempted by is the collector's edition though, with those cool Tyrael-looking wings that you can have in-game.
Is that really the selling point for you from the collector's edition?
That's the one thing in there that makes me hesitate for a second.
You don't want the art book and the soundtrack and the...
No.
Say it again. No.
Not at all. I mean, those things are cool, but I'm going to be listening to the soundtrack while I'm playing, so.
What about the Soul Stone, the 4 gig USB Soul Stone with a little skull to stick it into?
Oh, that's kind of cool, but I'm not sure what I'd do with it, so.
You'd put it on your desk and stare at it every day.
That's right.
You could put it right next to the Tyrael statue.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have a little Tyrael to stare at every day.
Did you notice? I haven't heard yet. Was there a special digital prize available in the PvE Diablo 3 demo? They've had the signed posters in past years.
Yeah, they did. You had to find an item in one of the zones, which I don't know if anybody ever found it because everybody was just so busy to run forward. And later in the second day, they started giving away posters to people in PvP who had scored the highest in a 4v4 match.
So you must have 3 or 4 of those, right, guys?
Nope.
I did not play when they were doing that, which is unfortunate.
You'd have had some otherwise, though, for sure.
Maybe 1 or 2, yeah.
Did you see what the prize was? I mean, it's a signed poster of what?
It was... I'm trying to remember the poster, what it looked like.
You both took some pictures for me to post on the website, too, right?
Of what, the poster?
Yeah.
Just of BlizzCon.
Chirp, 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 chirp. So, moving on from the PvP content a little, you guys have some interesting... You said you met some developers, Eliminator, I believe?
I did. I actually got to talk to Leonard for a little while.
Did he engulf you in his mighty arms?
Yes, he did. No, actually he didn't. It was kind of funny because I was roaming around after playing a PvP match and realized that the Black Soulstone panel was going on. So I worked my way over there, and he was standing in the back, just kind of like watching the panel.
The back of the audience?
Yeah, the back of
sort of?
the back of the audience, and no one was really paying attention to him, and I recognized him like instantly. And I kind of like walked over next to him, and I said, hi, how you doing? And I told him how I was really enjoying the game, and how I think they're doing a good job with the game. And he thanked.
And he yelled for security.
Yes, he yelled, security. No, he said thank you, and he asked me if I played the single player, and I regaled him with a little bit of my Demon Hunter story about how I wasn't sure how some of the skills were laid out would work, but then I said to him, I'm pretty sure you guys will figure it out and fix things up. And he said, yeah, that's what the playtesting's for. And then I had asked him a question about the storyline.
Well, that's his department.
Yeah. So I figured he'd be the best person. I asked him, can I ask you a question about the lore? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I asked him about...
He said, is Diablo a girl?
Yeah, well, that's one thing. I said, how's the reaction been to female Diablo? And he said, we haven't had that much negative feedback. I don't know if that's just him saying it or if that's truth or whatever.
Surprised he didn't go with the whole, we've never revealed the true form of Diablo, therefore he's not a gendered, pronoun or whatever.
No, he didn't say that. He just
A couple of guys said that in the panels.
Yeah. How the three primevals were exiled to Sanctuary. And I had talked to him and said, are you keeping the lore the same where Iswald was the one who told them about the Soul Stone and how to corrupt it, and how they most likely manufactured their own exile from the Hells to get to Sanctuary? And he was like, well, that's not necessarily said out in plain English, but it's hinted to in the Iswald speech. But he didn't really, he kind of skated the question if it was really going to be that was going to be revealed or whatever the case may be.
You're referring to the angel in Act 4 of Diablo 2, yes?
Yes.
Who speaks that? Because as we saw on numerous panels, the Diablo 3 developers don't remember Diablo 2 at all. There was a question on the lore panel where someone said, what happened to my Diablo 1 characters? And there was Kevin Martins was there, and Chris Metzen and some other, I forget who else was on the panel. And they're like, I think we said that Bloodraven was the rogue, and the wizard became, who did the sorcerer? Something in Act 2. The summoner? Like, they had no recollection
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of...
Obviously, it's not the point of the game, but it's just funny that, they know all the Diablo 3 lore, obviously.
What I thought was even funny was the fact that person asked that question, because, he would... Wouldn't he have known if he's supposed to be the guy who's asking these lore questions?
I was really disappointed no one had a red polo T-shirt on at the lore questions. Did you have worries about seeming like a creepy fanboy?
Yeah, I didn't want to be.
So what are you doing later, man? Exactly. You want to hang out?
Keep asking questions. I ran into another person I ran into that isn't necessarily on the dev team. I don't know if you guys know him. His name is Adam Sessler. He's a host.
A famous Hollywood comedian.
Yes, no. He's a host on a TV show on G4 TV that's about video games. I had ran into him, and he looked like he was just escaped from an angry mob of villagers. And I saw him, and he saw me, and I could see the look on his face like he knew I knew who he was, and he was just like, oh, God.
Busted. And is he the guy on the show with Olivia? What's her name?
No, that's Attack of the Show.
Is that something the guy's same guy? Oh well.
X-Play.
I was gonna say nobody knows him because he's on the show with the one hot chick on G4 TV, so no one's ever actually looked at him before. But I'll just cut that right out.
He was.
So any other dev stories, or you still talking about Adam Sandler?
Adam Sessler. Oh yeah, I just said hello to him. I said hi, Adam, and I walked past him, and somebody saw him and recognized him. Was like, oh, "Are you Adam Sessler?" And was all over. I was like, "Oh, guy." I also ran into Jay Wilson on the way once again to the PvP demo, and he was in plain clothes, walking towards the main stage, and I just ran into him and said hello and said I thought the game was going well and don't listen to the naysayers. And he was like, oh, we don't have many really naysayers. The people that mostly are saying it's positive feedback.
Just those podcast people.
Just those damn podcast people, and a couple of those people on the forums.
I thought Jay looked slimmer, and he had a much better haircut.
I talked about that with Nineball. I said you can really see how much they're in the later parts of the development, because he's lost so much weight from probably the extreme long hours and just lack of eat and sleep.
It could be the opposite. Maybe he's had time to relax now, and he's eating decent lunches instead of just gobbling down a donut now and
working out 3 days a week.
Yeah. We were watching the live streams, and Ellie goes, God, Jay finally fixed his hair up. His wife must have got on his case about that.
It just looked like here was a guy that finally had 2 days of rest before BlizzCon. That's why he was able to sit there and compose himself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm sure the postponement of the game eased a little bit of the tension for trying to get it out this year. I'm not sure if I know what all of them look like, so...
Well, they don't know what you look like either.
I could have walked right by them and not even notice a thing. And plus, the only panel I went to was the auction house and and gameplay one, where they talked about the difficulty and the auction house and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I did not get much of an opportunity to bump into anyone.
You could lie. So when you were having tequila shots with Chris Metzen on Thursday night
That's right.
before the show, any slips about Warcraft 4 did he make to you?
No, he was tight-lipped all the way into drunkenness.
I heard somebody had a story about him during the convention that he stopped himself from having one too many drinks because he was like, "Oh, I have a panel to do tomorrow. I can't drink anymore."
You guys enjoyed your BlizzCon on the whole?
Oh yeah, it was fantastic.
Worth the ticket price and the travel expenses?
Easily.
Of course, you don't have any travel expenses, Wolfpack.
Not at all.
How far away do you live from there?
It was like a 20-minute drive.
Of course, in LA, that could be, a block, but...
Right. No, it was... I live a few cities away.
And you enjoyed it? Are you planning on going next year?
It really depends on what they have, because obviously I can't tell what band it is going to be, but the people I brought were really, really excited about it, so I probably will if I can get tickets.
I think for me it was kind of a perfect storm because every one of the games were on the show floor and they were new. I don't think that's going to be the same case unless they announce Project Titan and have Project Titan on the show floor, that it's going to have that same effect.
They actually have a theater there, like a little seats 24 people, showing cutscenes nonstop from all of their films, and we stopped in there for a little bit when we needed a break from wandering around.
I thought the sound test stage was more interesting, where you can gather up 4 or 5 of your friends and replace the voice acting in a cutscene with your own voice acting.
Oh, that's funny.
Can you do the Demon Hunter cinematic? Because that would be an improvement. As long as they keep coming, I'll keep killing them.
Well, it was always a scene that had at least 4 or 5 people. So
they are the prey, and I am the hunter.
God, so bad. Does anyone ever not just scream Leroy Jenkins when they get in that booth? Were you guys surprised how much plot they revealed?
I was actually a little bit surprised on how much they were willing to just talk about during the lore panel.
I was oblivious.
I mean, they pretty much told us all about Act 2 and Act 3.
Yeah.
And the end bosses are Belial and Asmodan and kind of the basic setup and stuff. I was surprised personally.
Yeah.
As little as they've said for the last 3.5 years.
So are they spoilers when they say it?
People were complaining about that on news posts. So you shouldn't be posting this. I'm like, well, but Blizzard put it out. I can't keep you from seeing what Blizzard puts out.
Yeah.
We were putting spoilers on. We had people data mined the Ancients. The Barbarian summoning call of the Ancients.
Yeah, and then they just
and
show
then of course
it.
they showed that in the video. So it's like, well, hell, I guess I can take the spoiler warning off the wiki page now.
Yeah.
All in all, I had myself a great time.
I have to agree. BlizzCon was awesome.
Okay. Thanks for your time, guys. You've been listening to the Diablo podcast, and we are online at diablopodcast.com.
Hasta la vista, baby.